Thank you, Kathleen. She is a rock star. Thank you, James. Hey, Spencer. So what we'll do here is it's Funnel Friday. You're always welcome now that you're a guest. You can come any Friday you want to. And what we like to do is help agents that are either having this to see that other agents having success, help agents that are on the fence to looking at it, going, hey, that person Friday did it, that person Friday did it. Then, we'll save a little bit of time at the end to do a Q&A. But I'll kind of just start it off just asking a few basic questions, and I'll let you and Braden kind of get more into the meat of it. But I know your story, but the others, mostly everyone else on here does not. So how long were you licensed prior to doing any funnels?
Probably about 2 years, I would say.
Okay. And then after you started doing the funnels, well, first of all, did you set them up yourself?
No, no. Your
Yeah.
buddy over there, Braden, would be the one to take the credit for that.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So I talked to one guy once that set his up, but that's generally not a good idea and not what we do. So then he's Braden set it up and gonna turn you loose, or did they continue to help you along the way?
Definitely, I would say, Braden, you can attest to this. I was probably one of the earlier on guinea pigs in the whole process.
All
So he
right.
was hands on throughout the whole process.
And you were a full-time college student when you first started doing the funnels.
I was, yeah, and I leaned on it pretty heavy for the. Basically, I had about a year and a half overlap there where I was really starting to transact business, and I needed a kind of another leg to my business.
Yeah. So in between studying and partying, well, I'm talking to myself now when I was in college. You
There may be
figured,
some truth to that.
yeah, well, I wouldn't have had time to figure that out in my college days. But anyway, that's a long time ago. So it started working for you, and you were on a team when you first started using the funnels.
Yes, yes, I was.
Was that your team lead's ad spend or your ad spend?
My ad spend. So I kind of built it out. I had like obviously our team spend and what the team was getting, and then I built mine out completely separate of the team with the ultimate goal of going off on my own. So that was in the back of my mind the whole time.
Yeah, I'm just a couple more questions. So one I'm very curious about because my experience in real estate tells me one thing, but we'll see what yours was. So do you think it would have still had the same effect if someone else was paying for your leads?
Well, paying for and actually being I think it would be different. I think paying for it would be one thing if a team lead were the one actually writing the check, but I think it has to be you. You know what I mean? I like it from the fact that it was me. The ads were coming from me personally. It wasn't a team ad. They knew that whoever's reaching out to them was going to be the guy they saw in the ad to begin with.
Yeah, my experience is agents and myself included figured out when they have skin in the game or have to figure it out. So yeah, and then about how many houses did you sell? Maybe the first. Well, how long did it take to get your first deal doing the funnels? About. I know it was a little while ago, but about.
I want to say it was probably from like starting the funnel to actually the closing table, like 2 months.
Yeah, that's kind of typical. And then, did you get it up to a deal or two a month at one point?
Yeah, I was running about 2 deals a month.
Okay, that's cool. Well, that's all my questions. Braden, you want to dig a little deeper into some of the meat? And I know you guys have been working
Yeah.
so I appreciate that. Thank you,
So
Spencer.
you got up to doing a deal or two a month. How many total deals do you think you closed from the funnel?
Probably 30, 35, 40, maybe.
And then that was in the time frame of how long?
I would say I was doing about 20 to 25 a year on it.
20 to 25 a year?
Yeah.
That'll work. Okay. Okay. So if we were doing 20 to 25 a year, I know that this was kind of a unique situation where we ended up doing quite a few different things here and there, right? We did some county specific stuff, which is not typically what we do, right? I think we ran some county specific ads at one point. I think we
Yeah.
had multiple ads going at least at one point, didn't we?
Yeah. And I mean, there was a period there, and I can kind of go on and talk about that if you want me to, about kind of what I found to be the point of diminishing returns. But yeah, we were running like
Yeah,
two counties at one point. We were running
right.
we tried all kinds of stuff. I mean, I could go on at length, but I think we settled on two separate counties.
Yeah. And roughly, because I mean, we could probably go take a look at the ads manager, but I don't know if exactly we want to do that. But what would I mean, if we're running at 300 a month, I think that's what 3,600 in a calendar year. Do you have
Yeah.
an idea of what we spent total or what you spent total on that collectively?
I don't know collectively. I know I can tell you what I was spending a month because the collective number is going to be different because of all those different ways we played with it. I mean, we were marketing like out of market for in market folks that might be, we were marketing in like Air Force Base areas for relocations to Air Force bases, the Air
Yeah.
Force Base that's near us. We tried that. We tried a few things. So I don't think
Yep.
the spend would be accurate, but where I found kind of the sweet spot to be was in the, I would say $20 a day range per county
Per county.
was,
Yeah.
and I spent more. I mean, there was a
We
while
got to spend almost, I mean,
1,000.
you were spending quite a bit more than that at one point, weren't we?
Yeah, yeah, maybe 1,000 to 1,000 is where I was at. That's about is kind of where I was sitting. So what that breaks down to like $50 a day per county, I think is
Yeah.
about where we were sitting. We tried more. That point of diminishing returns, like I said, it's probably more so in the 40-ish dollar range. Like if you're spending $800 a month, you can pretty much bank on doing 2 closings a month.
Yeah.
That would be what I would say. We
Depending on cost per lead,
yeah,
which is super situational to the market. You know, I don't remember.
absolutely.
We ran into some of the at some point. You know, I seen we were kind of 7, 8, 9, $10 cost per lead. I think we eventually got it down into the 2s and 3s, kind of depending on which funnel it was and when we're
I just checked over the last year between 2 counties, we were at 388.
388 cost per lead.
Yep.
That's pretty good. And so,
And our market is that way. I mean, I think there are other markets out there where you could get that down without really trying. We just don't have that kind of transactional real estate. You know what I mean? There aren't that many people buying and selling like you'd have in a larger market. So I think that's a factor there too.
which is to the point of why we went county specific. Very rarely am I ever going to recommend that you do anything county specific, just to the principle of, I think a buyer that's clear on, what city they want to live in is further along in the purchasing process than a buyer that's open to multiple cities within a county. But if you don't have the transactions happening there in one location, one city, then you got to do something like a county specific ad, which is really the reason why we went to do that. But the question I always like to ask, because just the backstory, right? We started running these into KB Core, and then we eventually transitioned into, you were kind of the first one to start actually using Lofty. You were one of my, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so based on, because it's a little bit different from KB Core to Lofty, getting different other than really the AI, but kind of looking at both systems and the success you were having, what do you think, is the one determining kind of factor of what you were doing or what you were focused on or what allowed you to have that success, I guess, between those two systems? And not comparing the systems, just really, what do you think it came down to in terms of having success with the leads coming in?
I mean, I would say that it came down to, I mean, it's all about how you have the conversation, right? The funnel gets you the lead, but a lot of that's good. A lot of your conversion rate is going to fall on the agent and the conversations that you're having. So I found it to be, well, obviously, as most leads are, speed to action is huge with Facebook leads.
Right.
They're going to forget about you. They're going to be like, "Who the hell are you?" If we're a week later and I didn't call them for a week, you know what I mean? Uh,
Right.
so speed to action and kind of having that conversation nailed down, just at least like what is the conversation you're having with somebody that's looking on a county specific basis. I do feel like the fact that it was a county did, I think, make a little bit more of a path to have that conversation of, hey, what cities are you looking in, right? It gave me more topic of conversation outside of just saying, hey, it's your local realtor. You ready to buy a house?
Right. No, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Did mention something there was, and it's something I don't even really think we've talked about too much on Funnel Friday, but how you're having those conversations. I want to bring up kind of a story that I had yesterday with an agent. And I've seen this happen so much, and on the one-on-ones, if you're an agent that's working with me, we've probably had this conversation or I've talked about it. But that's a big point that he brings up, is how you're having these conversations in the beginning, because what I always tell people is, this is not, just being transparent, this is not spear and referral based business, right? These are internet leads. And so the way that you handle these leads is gonna have to be a little bit different than the way you would handle typical spear and referral. The point of it is, a spear and referral already has the 3 factors that we like to talk about, which is the know, like, and trust factor. whether that's because you have that relationship with them or it's a referral and they have edified you from that other relationship. But I had an agent that I was working with out in California, and she had some leads come in and she had made contact with one. She's like, yeah, everything was going really great. We were having a great conversation. And then she said, I pushed to try to get an in-person appointment. And this lead was, I think she said, somewhere in a 3 to 6 month time frame. So not trying to do something, in the next 30 days. And I'll kind of circle that back to why that's important. But said, tried to push for an in-person appointment or started to she pushed for an in-person appointment or wanted to start booking showings to go look at property, and the lead went ghost. And so this is important to talk about because the way that you handle this, and I don't use this, I don't say that these leads are necessarily finicky, but if you don't have a relationship with these leads, they don't know, like, and trust you. The way that you handle them in the beginning is super important in terms of, I don't need to be doing anything or positioning this or making anybody feel obligated to anything kind of from the get-go. And so do you feel like, what's kind of your standpoint on the way you would handle leads when they came in terms of like trying to get that know, like, and trust factor built, and the kind of the standpoint you came from, I guess from a skill set position or, the scripts or whatever you use, and I guess the way you would like to say it, that helped you with that?
Yeah, so right out of the gate, I'm not a huge script guy, right? I get down to the nitty gritty, and then if I figure out my end goal, then I reverse engineer what I need to say, right? So back to what you said, like the know, like, and trust people, like you don't have to work as hard on that kind of person. This kind of person, the way the ads are positioned, everything, they're clicking on that ad because they perceive it as I don't know, it's a carrot on a stick, right? What do you have different, right? For example, mine were these just listed homes in Warren County or Hamilton County, right? Well, you have to have a position of, or come from a position of value when you have that first conversation with them. So they're expecting some sort of different source or whatever it is, or leads or listings that they wouldn't normally have, or maybe their agent that they were maybe are working with doesn't have, right? So I would just call everybody up, and my key thing would be trying to figure out, all right, well, I'm going to find you. Where do you want to look? What do you want, right? What can I get you? What can I do for you? And then the number one thing with these leads, this is what I found. If you don't schedule your next call or a showing in the first conversation, you're done. Like it's just your conversion rate's going to go just completely drop, because if there's not a follow-up set up, say, all right, here, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go look for these areas. I'll call you back. Can I call you back tomorrow at 4? Right. And if you call tomorrow at 4, if you don't do that and set up the next touch, you're done.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And that's really what I preach to people in the conversion process and on the one-on-ones is the very first thing that we're doing is identifying criteria, right? And we're identifying that criteria for two things. One, so we can service the lead, but two, that's how you're going to get to the know, like, and trust factor, right? If I can't position this where, hey, listen, I'm going to send you everything that's recently listed, what's going to be price reduced, what's moving off market, and be the agent that can deliver on that, you're not going to start that process of getting them to know, like, and trust you. But that's the thing, is setting that next appointment, which is, hey, and we call it setting a task in the system, but getting a time that they can commit to on the next time we're going to follow up with them. And a lot of times that's, I try to position it around, is there a good time that we can, get back in touch, however you want to phrase that. But get back in touch essentially to kind of review that list of homes I sent over to you in case we need to critique the criteria and change anything. Make sure I'm sending you everything you want to take a look at. Again, coming from a very non-threatening place, they're not feeling obligated in terms of, there's the way that I kind of mentioned it with her on the call yesterday is, if I'm 3 to 6 months out, right, and I gave the example of going to like a car lot, right? If I know that I'm 3 to 6 months out from purchasing a truck and I just want to go see what they look like, maybe check out the interior or whatever, and I come to the dealership and that guy's like, hey, man, tell me a little bit about what you're looking for. I can point you in the right direction, right? That's going to go a lot further with me than if I go to the dealership and the first person I'm greeted with is trying to get me to come in and do a pre-approval or trying to get me to come in to do things that are things that I feel obligated to have to do that I don't necessarily want to do if I know that I'm still so far out from in the purchasing process, right? So a point of that is kind of just making sure that we're getting that criteria, and then coming from a standpoint of, hey, we're going to deliver on exactly what you're wanting to see and what's price reduced, what's off market, and then kind of taking that from there. So that's a big point on this, that I see some agents, they're struggling with conversion because they want to pick up the phone and call them right away, or they want to try to schedule that appointment right from the get-go without really ever getting to the point of getting the know, like, and trust factors built, if that kind of makes sense, if you'd agree with that.
Yeah, I definitely would. I think that it's a completely different conversation than what you'd normally have with even like a Zillow lead.
All right. Well, is there anything else? Well, the question I kind of like to ask is kind of the same what I asked earlier, but if there's any agents that are on here that are thinking about doing this or are currently doing this and maybe not seeing success yet, what would be the one thing that you feel like you would have wanted to hear or needed to hear kind of in the beginning of doing this that you think could potentially, help them in any way, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I got you. I think
I want to do it. I want to start.
There we go. We got a hand up already. Braden,
I want to start.
Braden, one thing I had for you that I was going to tell everybody is, when you run these Facebook ads, it comes up like a Facebook post, right? So the public is seeing it like it's a post, like it's it's the next best thing. Right. To me, what I didn't quite understand right out of the gate was that they can still comment on it. I would say that if you can really focus on keeping it fresh, meaning if you have to redo it, or I don't know, you know better than I do as far as like, if it's got 1,000 likes or something, like I don't really like that. You know what I mean? Because if it's in front of a ton of people are just clicking like, whatever. The comments, that's a big one. If people are asking questions in the comments, don't delete them, respond to them, and let everybody see it. Like if you can keep that engaged, like that's an actual Facebook post and that you're engaging with the people that are commenting, delete the ones that people are talking smack. But I've found that, I don't know, it adds a little bit of humility to it. And folks actually read the comments before they actually punch in their information. And I think that increased I don't know if I saw a direct correlation to conversion rate, but my conversations were definitely better out of the gate.
Yeah, it's something that actually what we did, and this is not something that I do currently. It's funny that you mentioned that, because when we were taught, when I went through the course on how to set these up, 7-8 years ago, what they would actually have you do is go and create like 3 or 4 other pages or accounts. I think it was pages is what it was. Mm-hmm. And they would have you come in on your ad and comment on your ad to bring validity to the ad, which goes to directly what you're talking about. And so essentially those other pages where we would just make up fake names and create a fake page, but you would ask questions, and then you would come back like what you're saying as the person running the ad, and actually comment or respond back to those. And I think it probably did help bring validity to the fact that this is the real deal. You got somebody that's responding, and it probably does. It's hard to gauge exactly what that direct correlation is. But to the point of that, it's not something that we do now because it's a little difficult to incorporate that for everybody. Yeah. But to the point of what he's saying is, if there are people commenting on the ad, making sure you're responding to those. And not only that, but there is sometimes you get, those haters on your posts that are saying whatever, making sure you're deleting those too, though.
Yeah. I've actually converted 2 deals to my recollection, at least 2, out of the comment section without ever actually capturing them on the actual like funnel.
That's big.
Yeah. So I just hit them up with DM.
You didn't even pay for that lead.
No, I know. So, what's your ROI on that?
All right. Well, cool, man. Anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, that would probably be my biggest pointer. So that was something that I didn't do for like the first 6 months, especially like deleting the bad comments, because it's going to happen. People are going to go, oh, scam. Of course you want my information. Keeping tabs on that that way. That would be my biggest tip for what maybe you don't always realize, because obviously you're going to cover everything else as far as the operations go. That was one thing in the back of my mind. It was like, oh, I need to do that.
No, that's good. I am curious, even though I cover it, it's always good to hear it from an agent that's been doing it, been having success with it. Anything else to the process or kind of what, it's something that maybe I would say, that you would point to as well. Because the only little thing that comes with what you said is not always do we have engagement on posts, not always do we have people commenting. So there may be some people in here that may not be able to necessarily benefit from that right away, but it's good to keep it top of mind as that may be something they experience down the road. Anything else you can point to the conversion process or any of that you think agents need to hear and really focus on?
I mean, I just got to go back to that schedule a call, because I now have a team, and now I pawn these off and I see the mistakes that you figure it out, but it's one of those things you have to kind of articulate to really tell somebody is you've got to schedule. If you don't schedule something else, and then even if they don't remember that you have the call at 4 or whatever it is, you call them back and say, hey, I was supposed to call you at 4. It means a lot more. Like if that call, I can't say it enough. That's not scheduled. The lead is dead.
Yeah. That's what I've always told people. It's and principally what you're saying is, and what we call it in the system is setting the task, right? Which is we're getting some type of commitment that, hey, I'm going to call you back at this date at this time, right? Which I always recommend. If I'm talking to you today at 1:00, I'm going to assume that if I'm following up with you in a week or two, that you're going to be available at that time again. And so I'm going to offer that time, right? Hey, would it be okay if I follow back up with you, at 1:00 next Friday or whatever, right? And getting that verbal commitment, right? And then even if they don't answer, the way that I kind of coach it is, even if they don't answer next Friday at 1:00, we're shooting a text that says, hey, listen, we were set to talk today at 1:00. Is there a better time that works for you today? If not, I'm going to follow up with you at the same time tomorrow. The point of that is that we're never losing a task, right? We're never losing the next time we're set to talk with the lead. Because, and to what you just said, what I've always said is the moment that you lose a task is the moment you lose that lead. You got 2 to 3 leads coming in a day. You got other leads that are in the system responding. Once you lose a task on the next time you're following up with that lead, you can go ahead and typically kiss that lead goodbye, because it's going to fall through the cracks, and very rarely is it going to resurface without you initiating that to happen, right? So that's big that you say that, but it is going back to the process, making sure we're scheduling an appointment or setting tasks on the next time, we're following up with the lead. Cool, man. I appreciate that. Dan, I think that's all I've got. If you've got anything.
Hey, that's good. Hey, our friend with the red, white, and blue hat, get with Andre. He will send you the next step. The gentleman driving, I apologize, I've talked to you a few times, forgot your name, but Andre will get you the next steps email, and so you can get started in the process, and then we'll get you plugged in there. Spencer, we appreciate you. Keep that link. We're on every Thursday, Friday at 1:30. We're probably going to add some of the funnel pilot people to this before too long, just have a little bit bigger audience and bigger success pool to pull from. But in the meantime, you're always welcome. You can reach out to me anytime, Spencer. I appreciate your time today. And Braden, thank you as always. And thanks to James and Andre and everyone else for showing up today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll take good care of you. Just get with Andre. He has the email for the next step.
Yeah, man, we're ready. That's why we invite you guys to these things. So when you're ready to get some leads coming in, we're going to help you get with Braden.
Yeah, and Spencer's our best example so far on this group of Funnel Friday, on someone that was on a team, got off a team, doing the 2-ish deals a month plus, and then also now starting a team with it. So when agents ask me, I say, you can do, you can do a deal every other month. You can do multiple deals per month. You can grow a team with this thing. So, like I said before, if there's something that worked better, that had a higher ROI and lower risk, we would be coaching on that today instead, but I don't know of it. So we're going to keep on doing this, what works, and having a lot of success with a lot of our agents that continue to do it. The secret is don't stop when you're 3 feet from the gold.
Wow.
Yeah, man. All right. Appreciate everybody hopping on. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Appreciate you, Spencer. Reach out anytime. Thank you for hopping on our Funnel Friday call today, and thank you to our special guest. So if you want more information on how this could work for you, just to be real clear, what we're doing is we're using my business partner's $50,000 a month tech team and business solutions team. So what we do is we help our agents by building out their production system, set up their campaigns, their automation, and then one-on-one training to that system. We hold your hand, walk you through the process until you have your first closing. And then after that, we'll continue to do that weekly, but most of our agents choose to do it monthly, once a month, to stay on accountability, make sure the system's working great, make sure you don't have any questions on the system. And then the agents also have access to us every Friday on Funnel Friday and all the time via text or phone calls. So we're their business partners, we're helping them. For agents that we're not their business partners with, we have the same exact opportunity. We'll build out your lead generation system / your funnel, set up your campaigns, your automation, one-on-one coaching to get you to the finish line. We also have branding. So we have a coach that will work with our agents for 2 to 4 weeks on their branding, and then a different content creation coach, and then a business revenue growth coach. So if you want to know more how that works and to see if that could work for you, go to dansleadsclass.com/call, or just scan this QR code, dansleadsclass.com/call, and schedule a call with me. It's a 10-minute call. It's 15 minutes blocked, and I block 20 usually, but it's usually a 5 to 10 minutes call just to answer questions, explain how this works, and to see if we're a fit for you now or later. So hop on my calendar. Love to answer your questions. Love helping agents. No cost, no obligation. I don't have a credit card swiper, so this is just a strategy type call. dansleadsclass.com/call. Appreciate you watching Funnel Friday today. You're always welcome, and reach out to me anytime.